Raw and SmackDown this week came from London in jolly old England land, the place of my birth, and about 60 or so miles from where I am currently sitting. Fantastic stuff. Now usually nothing much happens with these shows, but knowing AJ Styles won the WWE title last time they were on these shores means that anything is technically possible, even though Money in the Bank is still 5 stonking weeks away. So what did WWE have in store for us? Which show turned out to be the better one at the end of the day? Well, we're going to find out by looking at the best and the worst things that came from the red and blue brand. As ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another wrestling rant to come through the door. I understand a lot of you will have looked at the spoilers instead of watching the show live this week, so I'm going to follow a similar mindset and not go into as much detail. I'm on a bit of a tight schedule regarding videos right now, and I kind of want to get this out of the way. I'm already 1 day behind, so inevitably, what more can I do by just summing up the simple things that make London's shows somewhat entertaining? But I want to see whether Raw can at least deliver a somewhat okay show, because last week or so they haven't really been doing that well. Let's have a look then. First of all, the best thing that was on Raw this week was obvious. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship. Do I even have to explain at this point? If it's Seth Rollins defending that goddamn championship, it is going to be worth your time. You want to see a good, athletic, and incredibly fun contest to make your Mondays that much better, then yes, you're going to see something good here. But the addition of Kevin Owens doing his high-flying, hard-hitting, methodical, incredibly aggressive heel shtick just kind of made it much more special. And the fact that we already had Kevin Owens pissed off to all senses following what's happened to him in the last few months. And logically, it worked out pretty well. It was entertaining from start to finish, the crowd were into almost everything, and I can't really complain, because even though Owens lost, he managed to get in the Money in the Bank later on in the evening thanks to what Stephanie McMahon put in front of Kurt Angle, so the night was obviously going well for Kevin Owens. I mean, he lost the title match, but by the end of the night, he at least was on cloud freaking 9. The match was entertaining as hell, and for a standard Monday night match, I found it very, very enjoyable indeed. Now, I understand some people might say, well, hold on a second, if you're going to be throwing all these opponents at Seth to justify the championship, surely you need to give Seth a break. Well, he loves wrestling, and he loves defending that championship, and it's entertaining the hell out of us, so why the hell not? Seth is definitely the MVP of WWE at the moment, even though he's not the main champion, which is incredible. So I'll give the credit where it's due here. These matches are making the title feel fantastic. Rollins looks like a massive deal, and it makes weekly shows exciting, because you know you're going to get something good from him. I am hoping Seth is the one to take down Brock. Could you imagine if they built him up to have a title versus title at SummerSlam? Or I'd love to see that, and pretty damn good indeed. We move on next to an unexpected surprise, Axel and Dallas. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting to laugh as much as I did at you guys wanting to call yourselves the A-team, to then call yourselves the B-team because you're the best, without realising the connotations of calling yourself the worst version of the A-team. It was quite funny. In fact, I've said it last week or two that Kurt Angle segments have been awesome to watch because his interactions with the rosters and the talent is fantastic. Again, proving to be very, very funny indeed. Not only did they get their name and draw the letter B on their t-shirts in Sharpie, they went out and beat Breezango in quite a decent match. I wasn't expecting much from it, but then again, these are 4 very decent competitors in the ring putting on a contest you expect. High energy, but enough to give you something to be excited about, right? Which is nice to know. It wasn't just excitable high energy without any reason. But then again, you had Axel and Dallas winning. On top of that, they looked good, they had their gimmick down to a T, and they looked fantastic. I wasn't expecting to like this as much as I did, because I found it in the past their handling of these guys to be quite hokey, and the thing is, if they're going to take them seriously, okay, but there's a small problem with that. If you want to make them look good, you need to decide whether they're bad guys or good guys, because being on the fence when you've got a face tag team who are as weird as the Leechers of Worlds, you kind of want to build them up gradually and then decide their alignment. Hopefully they don't get a title shot the minute after they form, otherwise you're going to have some real issues there. I'll get to the Leechers of Worlds later, but the fact is, the B team, solid beginning. I like their mic work, like how they put their characters in, and wrestling is always solid from these two. Keep going and you might be more impressing to me over the course of the year. I am hoping, because I hope you don't drop this, because it could turn out to be something good that you could milk. In fact, I bet there are tons of people who want to have those t-shirts. Yeah, just put a B on a white shirt and sell it. You'll make a bit of money from that, and make these guys somewhat famous. And we finally get to another match that I felt was very good this week. McIntyre and Ziggler versus Strowman and Balor. I don't like what they're doing with Strowman by just putting him in tag teams because, oh, it worked out as a novelty with Nicholas. Why don't we stick him in a tag team? Because we can. Now, I fully understand the reasoning why at the moment, if he's tag teaming with Balor and losing with Balor in that team could make him snap at him next week, building up some interconnected storyline in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I like that. It's understated and somewhat okay. The thing is, it was a match to make McIntyre and Ziggler look good, and boy did they. Their styles mesh well together. We saw a longer exhibition of their talents this time, and oh man, the crowd popped hugely for Strowman and McIntyre staring down, because I remember when McIntyre first debuted, he did not look as big as he does now, and whew, it made it look like a gargantuan moment, and I'm hoping we see them in a match down the line for a major championship, so that should be good, shouldn't it? That should all be all of your aspirations to see that. If not, you probably don't have the same desires to what you want in wrestling as I do. But the fact of the matter is, the match was hard-hitting, entertaining, and for a tag team contest, something I usually frown upon because tag team matches are so cookie-cutter nowadays, you can see the hot tags coming from a mile off. This was very good, and the heels won, making them look strong, against two guys who are main event level. Yep, I couldn't disagree with anything there, that's pretty good. Pretty good indeed. But I also have to mention one thing that struck my interest. Now, no, it's not the fact that the Roman Reigns promo was great, despite the fact that I don't understand why he thinks there's a conspiracy against him when he gets shot after shot after shot. Jinder Mahal is correct. Him spearing Jinder through cardboard was hilarious, even though it was kind of interesting. And that was fine, but the one thing I do want to mention and touch on, because it's in the bloody thumbnail, is Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax being confirmed for Money in the Bank. There was a NBC gala that happened, and Jax challenged Rousey to a title shot, and through some coercion from Charlotte, she accepted it. Ronda Rousey's getting her title match in her second ever contest. Now, a lot of you are angry at this, but I thought about it this way. It's simple enough, really, to understand why Nia Jax would want to. She's defeated Alexa Bliss. Everyone else on the roster she's already either faced and beaten or is tied up somewhere else. And she's thinking, you know what, I'm on cloud 9 at the moment. I'm so confident. I'm being a massive role model for people. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take on someone with legit combat credentials and see if she can take me down. Because I am the irresistible force. I am an immovable object, and you cannot beat me. You may be Ronda Rousey, you could probably knock my lights out in 10 seconds flat, but you ain't stepped into the ring with a person like me before. The confidence oozing out of Nia Jax is palpable. So logically, her doing that makes some sense. The way that Rousey accepted it, resistant at first, because even she's admitting, I'm not ready yet, I haven't done enough matches, I want to work my way up the ladder and be humble. But of course everyone else is going, look, it'll make us a lot of money, it'll make you a lot of money, do it for the hell of it, it's for shits and gigs. You don't have to win if you don't need to, just give it a shot to show people you are really worth it. You broke Stephanie McMahon down, do this. It worked out nicely, even though it was a little meek. I understand that, they're doing for a split personality thing where Ronda is kind as hell until you piss her off, in which case that switch is turned and she then beats the crap out of you. That's the beautiful thing about Ronda. I don't mind the happy stylings of her character here. I don't like the fact it's overly saccharine sometimes, but it could be executed a little better, but it's fine for what it is. On top of that, people complaining that she doesn't deserve it, or other things. Here's the thing, she's probably going to lose. She's not going to win this. I'm pretty certain of it, because Natalia's probably going to screw her. Going thinking, oh, you get an opportunity just randomly out of the blue whilst I work my arse off day in, day out and get nothing for it. There is a well-built storyline there. And if they want to build up to a Natalya-Ronda Rousey match, Hart versus Rousey, at SummerSlam, this is the damn time to do it. It makes sense, it works, and you know what? It will be nice, because seeing Natalya turn face out of legit nowhere is suspicious, so this makes sense to all of that. I think the match will be better than many expected, because what Ronda's done thus far is pretty damn solid. I mean, her mic work still needs improvement, but you kind of get that that's part and parcel at this point. She's got what it takes to make this match look good. Nia Jax isn't the worst worker in the world either. The match could be good. People are just complaining about the execution, but I'm thinking about the long term here, about highlighting Rousey's character and shifting Natalya in the process. It's not all about Ronda getting the title shot, it's about how they execute that. And if they do it well, it should be fine. And that's fine by me. Now, away from the positives of Monday Night Raw, and that's included because I find it to be a good thing. However, we need to look at the negatives, and there are a few, and, well, there were quite a few generally. I found the triple threat between Rude, Corbin, and No Way Jose to be as flat as one can make it, but that didn't make it into here. You see, I went for some things you may think are a little bit ridiculous, but here we go. Sami Zayn threatening Bobby Lashley. Now, the only reason why I'm putting this here is, one, so I can discuss it, and second of all, because Sami Zayn's part of it is absolutely fine. I love Sami Zayn as a heel, and the fact that he just sounds like he's just so full of himself and yet scared as hell logically would work out. The problem I have here with this segment is what it could deliver next week, because it had this faint whiff of incredible toxic sludge, you know, akin to the This Is Your Life for Bayley, or the Old Day segment from a year or two ago. Those segments that you know are so terrible, yet Vince McMahon somehow finds it funny. That's the kind of thing that I don't want to see happen here, folks. And this just makes my skin crawl. The idea that he's going to bring out his sisters, quote unquote, and embarrass Bobby even further. If they want to turn Bobby Lashley heel, don't stick him up against a heel. But the thing is, this could be okay. It could be just us overreacting. It could be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens taking the piss, which could be lovely. It could be fantastic even. But it's just the trepidation I have going into this segment puts it into negative territory. Because Sami's delivery of the promo and his mannerisms and his eccentricities, I can live with that. It's just the bloody potential of what this could lead to is just making me really nervous, and I don't like that. I mean, it would still be interesting to watch it next week and find out what it is, but I don't really feel confident. I mean, Bobby Lashley as a babyface sucks. Why can't we just turn him into a marauder? Why can't we turn him into a hard-hitting, athletic jugger? Oh yeah, of course, because you've got Brock Lesnar on the roster doing exactly that. You can't utilise him until you get Brock Lesnar off your books. Get the title off Lesnar as soon as possible. You could do what you want to do with Lashley and make it bloody effective. Because he's on the roster all the bloody time doing what Lesnar would do. That's all I'm going to say there, folks. That's all I need to do. The fact is, the segment's not terrible. It's just what may happen next week is making it feel worse than it probably is. But it's a lot more intimidating than looking at a boring triple threat for the Money in the Bank qualification. Congratulations, Bobby Roode, all the same, but Corbin and No Way Jose? Corbin's great, but he needs to be working a much better feud. Now, we got to the actual worst stuff this week. The Leaders of Worlds, again putting on the same kind of cookie-cutter tag team contest I've seen since they started pairing. And they face the Revival again for the second or third time in as many bloody weeks. I'm sorry, to me that's repetitive, it's boring, and it's just filling time. It's a non-title match, the Revival don't look good at all. It's a strike. I'm sorry, this just didn't do anything for me. And it just is a waste of time for the Revival. I'd like to see them build some steam up. Hell, I even mentioned last time I did this, why not team them up with Baron Corbin? Make them a hard-hitting, road-going, rough-housing stable. Wouldn't that be nice? I think it would be nice, why not? It would mean that Raw has some extra edge to it, and it would technically mean that anyone can be attacked at any time. It'd be lovely. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get that anyway. I gave it a strike. The match was nothing special. It was just there. And it didn't really serve a purpose apart from making the champions look good, but they were already on top of the damn world, so why do they need to look dominant? They need to look weak from time to time, especially if what they're doing in the ring is exactly the same thing every bloody time. I can't handle this. I like the team, I like what they do, but the matches themselves are boring. Spice them up a bit, make them do something erratic to make them stand out a bit more. Make the revival better. You can do a lot of things here. And finally, I have to give this a strike as well because they took it straight from SmackDown and plopped it onto Raw. 6-woman tag matches are back with a vengeance, and I don't like this. The reason why I don't like this even more is you had Natalya out there and Sasha out there. No Bayley, no Ronda Rousey. You're not threading those needles into the fabric to sew a narrative throw blanket together. You're not doing that. And that's terrible. This segment was wasted. You had potential to really make some stories come to fruition here, but you didn't do it. You just put together a 6-woman tag like we've seen so many times over the last year and just have it happen. I mean, Natalya got the win, which is what she may need to convey to Ronda Rousey that she could help train her and put her in position for this big title match, but we don't see any of that. Oh, God. This just frustrated me. And I gotta say it, 6-woman tag matches are annoying. And okay, I'll say this. Raw got 2 strikes. Yeah, it did. Was the show terrible? Not really, but the strikes are endemic of an issue here. I didn't like this. This show had flaws that really soured it for me. It dragged a hell of a lot too. So, Raw doesn't look pretty good here. SmackDown. You smell blood in the water again, do you? Let's find out if you can take advantage of that and make a good show out of what Raw has put before you. So what did the Blue Brand do to combat the news of Ronda Rousey's title challenge? Well, they did something I wasn't expecting. Putting Styles versus Nakamura in front of a crowd that was going to lap it up regardless. Smart idea. But not so smart when you realise that they're facing in 5 bloody weeks. Okay, they've got this stipulation to ascertain, and I'm happy that they're going to at least make this match somewhat interesting, but what stipulation are you going to have? Last man standing? First blood? An Iron Man match, which I'm personally hoping for, because God, it needs to be done properly. The fact is, I'm not going to shy away from it. This match was absolutely exhilarating. The pace was amped up, the intensity was right in the face, the tension around what was at stake made the match a little better than what we've already had. Now, the matches on pay-per-view have been gradually improving ever so much, except for the Backlash match, which was a little worse than the Greatest Royal Rumble match, but the fact is, they've been gradually improving. This was the best AJ Styles Nakamura match I've seen on television in WWE, regardless of where it is on pay-per-view or otherwise. This had the intensity, it had the drive, and my God, it had the crowd in the palm of their hands like British putty. They were moulding them into what they needed to make this match feel special. And Shinsuke won, which means he gets to pick the match. I don't know what kind of match he's going to pick, and again, I'm hoping for an Iron Man contest, but this was a main event to cap off main events like a main event's never seen before. It felt like it was treated like it, and bloody hell, it looked like it, and it was fun as hell to see it all come to fruition. So with that in mind, that probably was the best thing that happened all night, right? Oh hell yes it was, but there were some great things to also see. Daniel Bryan taking down Big Cass, for example. Cass's mic work is solid, I'm never going to deny that, it needs improving, but every wrestler needs improving to some degree, except for Joe and Miz, because they are the best. The thing is though, I love that Cass was just smack-talking Bryan, and Bryan wasn't being all smiles and happiness, he just tried to get the crowd riled up and getting excited in a way that his personality can do naturally. They had a good few jabs at each other. Bryan then just said, you know, fuck it, I deservedly want to kick your ass, and I bloody well will. So he kicked his ass, meaning that they're not done yet, which means they could be having some Money in the Bank related permutations. Potentially. Potentially. Potentially, with a capital P. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. The segment was fun. I enjoyed this. Cass and Brian, you may not have thought would have been something that would work, and I wasn't the first. I like these two in a feud. It works. I mean, I still don't like the idea of Daniel Bryan being considered an underdog at this stage in his career, but we'll take what we can from it, and it works out okay. Then we have the New Day versus The Bar, which we knew was going to be a good match, and it was. The New Day qualify for Money in the Bank, but only one of them is going. Now, I'm hoping it's Xavier Woods' big... Actually, screw it. The entirety of the New Day could technically be in this match. I wouldn't care, because they're all great. The thing is, which one do I think WWE will pick? The match was pretty good, a mismatch of styles between a hard-hitting physical and a high-flying acrobatic like you'd usually expect from these two teams, and it was really nice. But again, I had to go back to the question at hand. Which one will they pick? Big E seems logical, but they've already got a load of big hulking guys in there. Do they want to pack some more in? Maybe. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I would like to see Xavier Woods get shot, because he needs more. I mean, then again, recently Xavier's been wrestling tons, Big E looks like he's in a role somewhere, and Kofi's on the sidelines not entirely sure what to do. So maybe they'll put Kofi in there. I mean, all of the New Day deserve it. At least it frees Cesaro and Sheamus up to fight someone else, because the tag team division on SmackDown is stacked. There's enough teams for them to fight and make it somewhat worth it. Can't go wrong with that, can we? Can we? No. Exactly. That's a good match, and the reasoning behind it is, at least it gives us something to look forward to. It means we've got a result of a contest that has permutations for next week. We have a reason to watch. Good. I hope they pick the right bloody New Day member, because it could go wrong if they don't. But they all are worthy candidates, I'm not going to be complaining too much. Oh boy, now we get to the Melibration. Now, I don't like things when they're really, really patriotic, because I don't like British patriotism. I don't like American patriotism, because it's so full of shit. She treated it like it was going to be the royal wedding, albeit it, and she basically was a cackling, self-aggrandizing, fictitious in fact. It was all there to highlight why Carmella's character is really quite nice. Then we had Paige come out and basically say, look, you are going to face Asuka at Money in the Bank. You think you can beat anybody? Beat Asuka! Good, because if she's going to turn into the female JBL, where she somehow manages to win out of nowhere, to the shock of everyone, and is treated like crap by the fans because her character is that detestable, I will take it. Meaning, she's probably going to win through interference or some DQ count-out bullshit, which will make Asuka more angry, which will make our entertainment much higher than it usually is, and I cannot blame them. I'm not looking forward to this. This is some good stuff, people. It's going to be good, isn't it? It's going to be lovely. The way they're building Carmella up is fantastic. I know in the ring she's not that great, but the way they're building her character up is scintillating. It's fucking brilliant. And I love it, because it's so simple. It plays on what we don't like as human beings, and then just saying, well, this is good. No, it isn't. It's really fun. And the Melibration was not as cringy as I thought it would be. Could have been worse, yes. It could have been better by a smidgen. But it was pretty decent for what it was. I can't deny that. And it had a good outcome. I'm just hoping that Asuka can kick the crap out of her and make it look as realistic as humanly possible. It's going to be good. Now we go on to the bad things, and I wasn't sure there was that many this week. There was only 2, and they weren't that bad either. The debut of Andrade Cien Almas could have been executed with a little more pomp. I fully understand why they did it in front of a London crowd, because they would be receptive to everything. The match was forgettable and quite pointless, which meant I would have given it a strike. Zelina Vega's promo afterwards. The same intoxicating bite that she has from her vengeful, spitting promos. It made this segment feel like it was justified happening, because it got the rousing crowd response, it got people booing as well as cheering, and inevitably, it went down well. So it meant that a match that was much a letdown had something afterwards that was a major talking point. So I can't be too negative, it's not a strike-worthy thing, but at least I can say that it was decent. And that's the best of the worst on this week's show. As the worst I found was Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose against Becky Lynch in a triple threat match for Money in the Bank qualification. Becky winning Money in the Bank would be nice, but she's probably not going to do it. The match itself was kind of predictable. I mean, if you were going to have Sonya Deville win, brilliant, because I love her, but Becky Lynch winning was foreshadowable from the get-go. She'd been losing to these two in tag team matches and individual singles contests from week to week. She kind of needed to bounce back, and she did, meaning the match wasn't that enjoyable because you could tell where it was going. You could telegraph that from a mile away, which was a bit sad. And this whole bickering thing with Paige and what was or is still Absolution is a little problematic, because can they attack Paige? No! It's the Daniel Bryan stuff all over again, except the fact that we're not dying to see it. Mandy Rose is fine for a gimmick, but in the ring needs some polishing, and Deville needs more character, but in the ring is fantastic. They need to kind of step away from Paige and factor themselves into something more, you know? That's just my opinion, but when you've only got one women's title and one major women's accomplishment to go for, I'm sorry, it's just going to have these issues anyway. The match was bland at best. It wasn't terrible by any means, but it's the worst thing on this show. But as you can tell, there wasn't that much to complain about, because most of what SmackDown did this week was either really good or just okay. There was no really poor stuff on here. I haven't given a strike to anything. SmackDown at 2 hours, utilising its time and its performers to the most part what I think they can make from it, and it's worked out pretty well. Which means, looking at both of these shows and which one wins, it's no contest. SmackDown got the victory, and you know what that means? It is now tied. 10-10. God, many months ago I would have never seen that. At one point, like I've said every other time how surprised I am at this, SmackDown were at 1.82 down. It's now tied. SmackDown has improved so much. And the roster they have, all they need to do now is factor in some storylines with actual weight and length and reasons that we can get excited about them and the actions they make. That's all we need. And a few of them did have that. It's just it was like Raw, a very wrestling heavy thing. We like our wrestling, but I like to watch Raw and SmackDown for the stories, to see the matches be the payoff to those stories. That's where I look at this show. So watching very wrestling heavy Raw and SmackDowns isn't to my liking, because that's not when the matches matter. But at the same time, SmackDown is kicking ass and I can be happy. They may be putting on more good matches after good matches, and Rusev and Lana are slowly sowing the seeds for their story, which is even better, because at least a person in the Money in the Bank match who we love is actually doing something. And that's okay, isn't it? Which caps off another thing that makes SmackDown good this week. Even at its potential worst, it turned out okay. Because the good thing about SmackDown being 2 hours long, there isn't as much stuff to take a show down with it. It's not going to be laboured with pacing issues and filler, which Raw has been handling with quite egregious hands in the last few weeks, which explains why SmackDown got the win here and has managed to tie the scores, because they bloody deserve it. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, I can say it profoundly, next week, one brand will be guaranteed to take the mantle. Unfortunately, I am not going to be here for Wrestling Rant next week. I'm going to be down in Brighton visiting my brother for the week, so I won't be down to make Wrestling Rant at the time, because I end up making and analysing the shows after they air and recording stuff before I leave. I have to record poems and stuff first. There is a priority there, and I won't be able to do that once I'm down in Brighton. So there's going to be no Wrestling Rant this upcoming week, and I apologise for that. Then again, the week after, it'll be resumed as usual. On top of that, instead of Wrestling Rant, the Survivor Series 1998 Friday Flashback is coming. I can't wait to rip that show a new one, that's for sure, because that was an interesting watch. So if you don't want to miss that and anything else that's coming up, click the subscribe button down there, share the video to get more people interested in all the stuff that they are missing regarding the wrestling analysis that is here, and of course, a cheeky like would not go amiss if you enjoyed what you're seeing. I have been Freddie Thomas, you've been people watching, this has been another edition of Wrestling Rant for the CC Network, and I will see you all next time when the shows are back on US soil.